everybody, welcome to another video. So for today we're going to be doing a painting on autumn trees. So it's getting a bit colder out, the leaves are changing color, and we thought it would be nice to paint something like that. So I apologize in advance. It's getting dark earlier, so there's going to be a bit of shadow in the video, but hopefully you can still see the colors. So we need the same things as usual. You need your paints, any combination of colors, we can make it work for today. Some sort of paper to paint on. I like having scrap paper to test out your colors. A bit of tissue or paper towel, anything like that. And then some water and a paintbrush. All right, so what we're going to do today, just as a rough outline, is some trees on either side, a bit of sky at the top, and then a path going along the middle. So our first word of today is a path, or un chemin in French. Okay, we'll start with the sky. So mix together some of your blue colors. I'm going to take a nice bright blue, like a nice bright day, and fill just a bit of the top. Now today we're going to be working with wet on wet, and so for this part I just want you to really be very easy with the colors and what you make wet right now, because we're going to put a lot of pretty colors on top. So there's really no need to be perfect or super detailed. I hope you see the color. It's even a bit hard for me to see the color with the winter light right now. All right, so then I've got some other blues. So look, I've got a slightly different blue that I'll maybe mix in. If you just have one blue, not a problem. You can either take a darker color and mix it in, or just stick with whatever bright blue you have in your palette. All right, so we'll bring it all the way down here. I think that's pretty good for now. And we're going to start with the trees. So we're going to find kind of an orangey color. I had some already here, but you can start with an orange or a red, whatever you've got. So it'll look like this, and then you want it a bit more yellow. So I have this nice, lovely dark yellow I can mix in, but if you only have a bright yellow, that will also work too. We want to make a color that looks something like this. So you can put a bit up at the top, and this is where we're doing, really just we're mixing the wet into the wet. Nothing too perfect at all. And just having fun with it. And if you're new to these videos, I often say when we're doing paintings like this, it's important to try to leave just a little bit of white space, because once you put paint on it, you can't really get the white space back. And so just be mindful of where you might want to have a bit that's white at the end. You can mix a bit more of the dark. My brush is pretty small, so it's going to take a while to fill up the card. But just keep playing around, mixing in more water if you want the color to be maybe a bit more light. Now, for the path part at the bottom, once you're happy with having mixed in a bit of the start of your trees, we're going to do something a little darker at the bottom. So I'll take more of the orange. It's a little too bright. And then I actually have a brown, so I'll mix the brown in with the orange until I get a good color. If you don't have a brown, a black would even do to make it a bit darker. And then we've got something like this. And I liked it, so I think I'll just add some in up here. Okay. Now we're going to start thinking of a bit more like leaves. So this is going to be kind of a tree here and then a bunch of trees here. So we'll give you some time to do this today, because really it's just going to be filling in a lot of the space with more kind of abstract shapes until we fill in all the details of the trees at the end. Now our second word of the day today is going to be deciduous trees, which is quite a mouthful, but the trees that we're painting today, these are trees that in the winter time, they change colors, they turn different colors of orange and red and yellow, and then they lose their leaves at the end of, really at the end of autumn. And in French, that'll be un arbre feuillu, and in English, again, that's a deciduous tree. And so that's different from the kinds of trees that you see that are green all year long. And especially for those of you that are in Ontario and Quebec right now, you get beautiful deciduous trees that lose their leaves in this season. So hopefully you're seeing some of that outside right now. Now, I've also got a red here. This is a bit of a pinky red, but that's okay. That I'm going to mix into my orange. And then really just have fun with the trees here. So mine's a bit pink, so I don't love how pink that is. So I'll just add a bit of color on top. Just to make it into a whatever color you want. And now you can kind of dab a little bit like this with your brush to get texture into your painting. I wanted a bit more orange in that. And now we're gonna keep making the colors. You see we've gone from something really faint here. We're gonna go brighter and brighter and brighter. So it's kind of what I'm doing here. I'll mix in some of the red so that it becomes a richer color. Can you see up there? That's great. And then again, start mixing it into where you've got the trees. Because the trees really do go very nice bright colors. Now our third word of today, and really it probably should have been the first, is autumn, or in English we sometimes also say fall. So that's really the season that we're in now. It comes after summer and before winter. In French, it's l'automne. And again, in English, it can be autumn or fall. They're really synonymous for the same season. And I find it's a lot of people's favorite season because it's just so pretty and it's not as cold as winter. So then we'll just keep putting in some nice bright colors. Okay, so once you're happy with these kind of warm tones, I've got some here, we're going to actually add in some green, because in this painting it's not quite the end of autumn and we've still got some green on the trees, and it's that beautiful phase where they're mixing between the two. So I took the darker of my greens like this and mixed just a teeny tiny bit of my dark color in with it. It's a bit of a black almost, to make a nice rich green. And again, just dabbing it in to where you want the trees to be. And you'll see when I was speaking about wet on wet, if you add it into the spot that was previously wet, like over here, the color kind of spreads out nicely. And that's one of those nice effects you can get with watercolor. Do some down here. And you'll see this really comes together at the end. So if it looks like a bunch of random colors right now, don't worry. We've got a little while to go. It's a little too dark. Now, we're going to do a bit of shadows really across the path. So find a nice dark color just like this. Either a dark brown or a black, whatever your darkest color is. This one has a bit of blue in it. And we're just gonna do a bit of a shadow of where the tree would go across the path. And you can even take that dark color up and into the trees a bit, just to give some depth. So up and into the side here, and up and into the trees a bit. I feel like this needed some orange. Same with over here. Mixing it in. All right, now I feel at the top it needed a bit more yellow, so you can take whatever color yellow you have. I'm going to take something kind of in between like this and just dab it at the top of the trees, almost as if that's where the light is hitting them. And again, we can put a bit of that green. Mine is all messy here, so find somewhere clean. Don't use the dark one before. Mix them together, and you can add that to the tops of the trees if you want also. Now, where you see it's still wet, you can play around with your colors. So I'm adding a bit more red here. You can do some orange, whatever you'd like, to just sort of fill out where it might look a little empty. And then across the middle of our path, I'd say it looks a little empty, so we'll take a bit of the green and a bit of the red. It's probably too dark, just dab it right back up. And a bit of, oh, be sure to wash your brush off. There we go. Maybe a bit of the yellow through there. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is to add a bit of where we want the trees themselves to be. We've done the leaves, but we have no trees. So take again the darkest color you have, and this might bleed a little bit if it's not dry, that's okay. This is probably my darkest color. I'll mix it in with a little bit of brown to make it color something like that. And for these sorts of things, I always say if you're not sure kind of where you want it to be or how it's going to go, you could always practice how the line is going to draw. So that's how I can practice. So I'm going to take one starting on this side and do, it's quite dark, a nice tree going up to the top, kind of thicker at the bottom, and then goes up nice and thin at the top. So press hard, 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 and then let go. And then do the same thing on this side, and they don't all have to be completely straight. So hard, 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 kind of pushing down with your brush. It's a little bit too wet maybe on this side, and then up, pushing down and up, down and up, and down and up. Now where we want these to go a little taller, okay. And then kind of going up like this. Okay. So then to give a bit of a sense that the forest is kind of coming in on itself and going off into the distance, what you can do is again practice here to make sure you can do really tiny fine lines like this. We're going to do little trees going off into the distance. So these ones are all up at the front, so they're big and they've got big trunks at the bottom. And then just do little lines like this off into the distance. Sorry for my voice. Just a little tree here, here, maybe one at the end. And a little bit of shadow at the front. We're going to take just a little bit of shadow going across from these trees. And it's going to have a big branch that goes across. And same on this side. Okay. Now you'll see here the color has kind of bled out to where it was wet. I quite like that, so I'll leave it. But if you want to fix it up a bit, you can also do that and clean it off. You can do as many trees as you want. Just look at your painting and look at where you think it might need another tree. So here's all the bottom. Okay. So now it's really the fun final touches, because what we're going to do is take some darker colors, put some extra leaves, and leaves is our last word of the day. So leaves are les feuilles, and just kind of make it look like what you want. So you can either follow what I'm doing or pick new colors that you want. But to me, for instance, these don't look like trees themselves alone. So I'll take something darker, I'll mix together again some of these orange colors, and I'll just put something that looks a bit more like a discrete tree. And just play around until you're done with your painting. Here I thought I could actually use maybe a bit more green. And then some more detail here. To me, this looks a little empty. I don't know what yours looks like right now. So I'll take my yellow and just put some more leaves. And what you'll find is if the first kind of layer of paint is quite not detailed and kind of a wash of color, it makes it nice to go on top with much more concentrated color, so a lot less water, so that you can get a bit more detail to where you want everything to be in your painting. So I really invite you to kind of take a step, look at your painting, decide if you want anything more. So to me, I'd like it to really look like this is a bit more full here. So we'll just take a little bit of green, much more concentrated, and keep filling in the forest. My water is a little bit grimy at this point, you can see it, but I'd like there to look like there's an end of the path. So what you can do, I'll take maybe something a bit darker like this and just put it where the end of the path or the horizon would be, and that gives us a bit of an end. And to me, I think it's really this mix of colors that makes fall so beautiful. So you can pick all of the different colors that we did today and mix them all throughout this forest. So I hope you all get a chance to get out into nature and see trees looking like this in real life, and I hope you enjoyed this painting. I'll just do a few final touches, and I'll leave you guys to have fun doing your painting. Enjoy! Happy autumn!